Hey y'all, wanted to go over a review episode 5 of Isekai Ojisan, Uncle from Another World, English version. But this episode, it's been on hiatus. So there was about a month until the fourth episode and fifth episode. Between that time, there was a month off. And I heard it was because of the animation studio. They had like a COVID breakout. So some of the animators, or some or most, had to have a break, but now it's back in full swing. But this episode might be, and again, there's only 5 episodes, might be one of my favorite episodes so far. But it's kind of short and sweet. But he starts off by talking about how he almost was assassinated in this other world. So he does the spell to go through his memories and stuff. So it starts off by him traveling outside of a town, and we find out that his other memories, his encounters with the elf, there was always somebody lurking near him trying to assassinate him, or so we thought. So it starts off by him playing back the assassination when it first had mapped out, and this is a scene of when, it first kind of started happening, and you'll notice something as this goes on. So I don't know if y'all caught that. The scene it shows before it even shows her face, we actually see is Mabel, because somebody actually using ice powers. So she actually broke down because she didn't really want to kill him. She actually acknowledges right then and there that he saved the village. But because he saved the village, obviously she kind of lost her life's purpose. So he actually he drags her back to the end that he's staying in. So here's the clip there. こうしてメイベルに命を狙われたが、とりあえず宿に連れて行ったんだ。運び方? So they basically start talking how she didn't want to protect the village anymore just because there wasn't really a threat since he slayed the dragon without having to use the god slaying ice sword. So they chopped up her house, the people in the village, and they gave her a choice: either be a dog or somehow make a living. Now, if you've already seen previous episodes, she's like an introvert. She doesn't want to work. She thinks that cuddling stuffed animals or smelling flowers is too much work. Like, she's just the opposite of work. So basically, before she left the village, she froze everybody's feet and started dripping ice on everybody's neck, like cold water on everybody's neck before she left. So she's been like isolated from the village. And just because she's an introvert, she didn't want to do any work. So while she was sleeping, before they went over all this, he actually put a ring on her, because it was one of the rings that he found that he gave the elf, and he kind of inadvertently, just like he did with the elf episodes before, proposes to her, because he's like, hey, you won't have to worry about anything else. In his mind, he's saying, hey, I gave you the ring, you could sell the ring, and basically you wouldn't have to work. It'd be worth, in their world, millions of dollars, and you don't have to work again. But in her head, she's like, oh, he proposed to me. I don't know if I can accept this. So she basically understands, and then she kind of goes on the attack. So the elf walks in, and she misunderstands, because how could you not? But then she notices the ring on her finger, and she's like, okay, here we go.
でも目覚めたの？なんなら寝つくまで一緒に。
So Mabel ends up cutting her loose, and then she, obviously she's mad because she's also had that same ring. And we find out a little bit later that both the elf and Mabel, and we already knew about the elf, but Mabel kind of has a crush on, Uncle Ojisan. But here's the elf cutting her loose, and then here's his full circle story about how he almost got assassinated. So the elf and Mabel, they talk it out after Uncle's frozen. She tells the elf about her clan ancestor from Japan. She uses Japan something. But basically the old story of the clan is her ancestor, the first person who actually went to that world, asking the god saying, "Hey, you can request something." Like most isekai stories start. They start by, you go to another world and they're like, "Hey, you can choose a power. What power do you want?" So the first person said, "I want the power to slay a god, to slay you." So that's how kind of the ice god slaying sword came about in the first place. So she talks about the isekai wish. So that kind of clicks. And then the uncle, they ask the uncle, the nephew, and the girl, ask Takafumi, I can't remember the girl's name, ask him about when he first came to the world. So we actually find out his wish in basically this episode, what started it. And you would think his wish is like some grand wish or something like that, but it really works out in his favor. And I'm pretty sure if I read the light novel, the manga, because I saw a couple of chapters, but I didn't want to ruin it. Like there was a month off, and I didn't want to ruin myself. But he talks about his wish. So his wish was actually, and they had to kind of go through his memories when he first got created. His wish was actually to communicate with the humans, because when he first came, they were about to kill him, and then he ended up getting sold as an orc that can actually talk to humans, like a species that can actually understand humans. So he got brought on to like a freak show. So in this whole episode, we found out that his assassination was Mabel. Mabel keeps being a recurring character, which, Mabel's freaking cool. We find out that the elf and Mabel, they have this kind of, fondness of the uncle, which he is completely oblivious to. We figure out how the first person who got transported to the world, what he asked for, and kind of what the theme of people getting transported to this world, what they go through. They're getting asked, it's basically like Konosuba. Go to another world, a goddess meets you, and then you get asked, what do you wish for to, what thing do you want to get you through this world? So it's kind of like that, but it's I call it a series of misunderstandings, because basically the uncle misunderstands what those two female characters want from him, or basically what their intentions are. And then even the nephew misunderstands kind of the girl that he knew since when he was little, what her intentions are. But I'm curious to see how this series goes. I think it's still the best anime series of the season, and these next 7 episodes are gonna go by quick. But y'all have a good one. Like and subscribe. Please watch the actual show, and have a good one. Thank you.